So we modeled a couple of spoons, modified that into a spork, strainer, that sort of thing. Modeled a knife using the plane tools and welding vertices together and that sort of thing to make the blade, and then the handle much more standard with it, just sketch and extrude and that sort. But I wanted to show you how to do something that's a little bit more dimensional using, again, the same set of tools, just different set of orders. So let me switch over to screens, and I'm just going to throw out a quick reference of, like, I'm going to model a spatula. Now, obviously, you type in what spatula is, there's no end to it. So I have in mind, I just want to create something that's kind of more along the lines of like your kitchen grade or like your like griddle top style spatula, something that's kind of a large flat surface, probably a crease somewhere, maybe a bent handle, but again, kind of like the wooden spoon kind of thing, that sort. So that sort of kind of reference. So let me hop back over to Fusion. So we've got our sporks and spoons and giant kitchen sword. So let me start another one. I'll create a new component, and this one will be spatula. All right. So I'm going to activate that one, and let's go ahead and hide all the others just so we're not confusing anything. So I'm going to start standard again, move into the create form workspace. There we are. Now I'm going to create the spatula by working with a plane and then manipulating actually probably a couple of planes. So in this case, start with a plane, same deal. There we go. I'm going to use it as a center rectangle. And whether or not we start with the handle or the blade, doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and stretch that out. What should that be? Probably like maybe 100 millimeters wide. We can always stretch this more. And sure, let's say 300 long as kind of a longer handled thing. Okay. Whoops. Nope. There we go. Hit enter. That locks it in place. That's a plane. Hello. Why is it? There we go. Don't know what happened there. Clicked on it. Okay. So I made this wider like that. Maybe I shouldn't have. We'll see. I'm still going to use just a pair of faces lengthwise. So I'm going to add symmetry along the length. There we go. But I think now maybe I should shrink this and then widen it after the fact. So let's add a couple of faces. Sure. Again, 4, that works. Something pretty basic. Hit OK. Now, what I want to do here, and I realize it's still colored, so let's switch to auto color, shift in. There we go. Different decolor, you can see the symmetry line a little bit more effectively. So what I'm going to do, I think, first is make this first segment the spatula, the scraper. So let's go ahead and edit form, standard stuffs, movements, and all that such. I'm going to grab just this vertex and just drag this outward. Now you can see that's making much more of a sharp line, or sorry, a curved line rather. That's okay. Or if I want to keep that a little bit straighter, what I could do instead, let's Control Z that. And instead of grabbing the vertex, let's grab this face, and I will rotate that face. Just different way of working. So see how now it's much more of a wider form there. Now, I don't know how well that's going to work. That looks kind of a little wonky. Maybe now I should bring it back to straight, and there you go. Now that's still wide, or rather that's still curved. If you want that to be straight, that's okay too. Let's grab this side here. I'm just going to drag this down a little bit because I want that a little bit more of a longer workspace. So if you decide, you know what, I actually wanted that straight, what you could do is go to modify. Oh, let me finish edit form, go to modify and straighten. So this just straightens existing faces, or sorry, edges as best they can. So you can see where this is referencing a 90-degree corner. I want to straighten this T-spline. Now what it is you have to select between 2 points. So I can't select this middle one. I want this one and this one. And then control points, surface points, whatever. Let's see if it's going to work for me. Fit, select line. There we go. Let's see if it's letting me do it. Nope. Fine. Select 2 points. There we go. You see my reference line. It's hard to see. There's this yellow line that's appearing. It's a little bit difficult to see sometimes. Come on, let me. There we go. So that part's straightened, but this is not. Come on. Sometimes these don't work as well as you would like it to. There we go. Now I got my reference line. Let's drag this around. Come on. Sure. Let's select it along by a parallel line. If it'll let me do that. Come on. Not letting me select my center lines here. All right, fine. Abandon option. So it's not letting me work how I want to. That's okay. We can always trim this in a little more straightforward way. So we'll leave it as it is. That's okay. Now, what I do want is I want this to have much more of that up and down angle. So what I mean by that is I want this to not be flat. I do want this to curve upward. So select, let's go back to edit form, and I want to select, let's just by vertice. You know what? No, I want to select by faces. This might be a little bit easier to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of those, and I'm going to drag that up, but I also want to rotate that. Oops. Accidentally. There we go. See how I'm getting my curvature here? But this part here is not quite cooperating how I want. So maybe what I want is my handle more like this, but I kind of want these angles, or I don't want this to be quite of a sweep. I want this more to be straight. Perfect. So what I'll do is say, all right, I like where that is. Hit OK. And then we'll go to modify and crease. All this does is sharpen those bends. I accidentally had that selected, so it automatically did that. Great. Okay. Repeat crease. I'm going to select this line. And now I have much more of a sharp angle there. So you can very much think of this, not always, it's not a perfect analogy, but crease works exactly like it sounds. You're putting a crease in a piece of paper, a fold, there you go. It's a sharp line. Hit OK. All right. Now, that's pretty straightforward. Now, you don't have to have it like, this bottom part, you want to leave that creased, and maybe up here, you know what, you decide, you know what, I actually wanted that smoother. I actually like that smooth transition. That's okay. There is an uncrease just below crease. Select your line between the vertices. Come on. Why is it not working? There we go. For some reason, it was edge of vertices. There we go. Great. So now you've got your crease uncreased. Cool. So that is going to create more of a rounded curve. It's harder to create this with just a more controlled edge, unless you create this with multiple pieces. So it's up to you. You could, again, smooth the more complex stuffs. You have beveled edges. You've got a variety of different options. Let's try that. Select both of those. You could play around with this. Sure, there we go. One segment. Hit OK. Really, in this case, all I did was add an extra line in. So whatever. Those are just more things you can play with. But really what I wanted to show you is just how you can make some creases, make some manipulations there. See, now that I made that hard crease, this line sharpened up too, so it kind of defaults in. If you still want, I can go back to edit form, select just that vertex, and drag that in a little bit. See, now we got it straightened out, or if you want a little bit of a flat spot, whatever. It's up to you. Hit OK. Now, the trick here is, and let's say, you know what, it might be easier if I do go ahead and crease this. So let's add the crease back, but now in that line. All right. Hit OK. and I want to make a handle, or rather handle like I had made for the knife. Excuse me, I was going to say knives. Knife. That means this whole handle section kind of needs to be flat. So we've got those, and you literally can flatten a space. So direction to fit, yep. Splines. Well, let's just select all of those. There we go. By control points or surface. Yeah, I'll leave it as control points. There we go. Or do we need to select more? Let's go ahead and select some more. There we go. Hit OK. It was already pretty flat, I guess. Let's try that again. Oh, let's see. By plane? Sure. Let's reference it instead by plane. Select the base plane. Select the T-splines. Let's select all of those. Not quite the flatten that I wanted. I kind of wanted it to stay where it was, just angled a little bit better. All right, so that didn't work nearly as well as I wanted it to. There we go. Select parallel plane. So selected that parallel plane. Those points now flatten back out. There we are. We're good. Okay. So that was just flatten in that direction. All right. That's not what I meant to do. Now, granted, this is a pretty extremely large spatula going here. So let's shrink this a bit. And let's just go by vertices again. And let's just drop this down a little bit. All I'm going to do is just literally bring it down a bit, because this is getting pretty complex. There we go. That seems slightly more reasonable. Okay. And if you decide that this handle's too short, remember, we can, of course, go to edit form, and we could even drag, say, like just by edges, double click. Yeah, let's drag it out. There you go. Fine. Okay. So something like this, you can, of course, finish and make some extrusions, that sort of stuff. But I did also want to actually highlight what happens if you actually wanted this to not be flat, as in, sorry, parallel to the plane. What if you actually wanted this at an angle? So let me just go back to edit form here. I'm going to select by faces. And just as reference, let's angle this up a little bit. There we go. See how it's much more of like at an angle, but it is flattened, but it is at an angle. So that's fine. Okay. And we can call this good. If you want to, obviously you can round stuff out, that sort. But the last thing we do want to do is obviously add a little bit of thickness to this. So let's thicken. We're going to leave this at sharp. Now this is going to be thin. So let's say like 1 millimeter thick. Hit OK. There you go. Pretty thin. Spatula is nice and flexible. All that kind of fun. All right. Let's finish form. No errors. Great. Now the thing is, I want to create a handle like this knife, or similar to this knife. You know, the whole just sketch and extrude and all that such, and probably put some pins in it too. But I want this shape to be at an angle. Really easy to do. All you're going to be doing is exactly what you just did, only we need to create a construction plane. Now you can try sketching just directly on this face. Sorry, something's not letting me. What's going on here? There we go. That's weird. Not letting me select anything. Anyway, that was why I was going to say construction at an angle, or more of, we can not offset anything like that. You can try to select, if it lets you select the face, great. So now I'm actually being able to select that, but you're not going to be able to get a construction plane directly off of that. And because this is a curved surface, it's not going to let me select a sketch directly on that. So what we could do, excuse me, we did like the plane or through points, stuff like that. That's fine, but we're going to try and do this through edges. So selecting two edges. See how it's letting me actually select stuff? Now, the problem is we do have this edge at this curve, and there's not a face in between here. So what I might have to do is go back and try to create an edge there. But let's see. We select that line. Won't let me do it on that one. So we try to select the two edge here. There we go. So now I can actually sketch on a construction plane. Ah, crud. I accidentally had the, why is it point? Sorry, a second. Give me a second. Oh, I accidentally created a point, not a plane. Jeez. My mistake. I accidentally selected on plane. That's all right. I was supposed to have been working on Spatula anyway. I deselected it to show everything. All right. Back to construction, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, my phone was ringing. There, sorry. Through two edges. Sorry, I got distracted on stuff. So we have some edges. There we go. It's not letting me select that. All right, well, I told you it was easy, and now it's not letting me because I had this additional curve in that. That's all right. So the other option would be, if you're having trouble with this, like I clearly am, because we created this curve, this extra curve, that just means we need to try to make something at an angle. Easy way to match that angle is we try to create a sketch on the side and just use a project tool to copy that whole body. There you go. All right, open this stuff up. Just expanding all our stuff here. So we have this. I don't know why it didn't duplicate that. That's odd. Anyhow, now I have a line that I can copy. That's all. So construction plane at angle. I just need to select that line. Why is it not? It's letting me select that one, but not the other. All right, whatever. And since it's not letting me, or since it's defaulting straight up and down, that's not a problem. We just rotate it 90 degrees. So there we go. Now it's letting me create a construction plane at that face. See? A little more complex than I was hoping would be, but that's because we had a slightly more complex shape. All right, and from here, it's just the standard. Create a sketch on that plane. It flattens out. Jeez, that is confusing. There we are. And we do exactly the same. If you want, you could duplicate this shape here. We can project that spatula. Again, there we are. Hide the body just so we can have a little bit more control over this. And now just create something around that. So if you want, let's try offsetting that line. Yeah, just out a little bit. Sure. What is that? We'll say negative. Oh, I don't know. 2 millimeters wider. Oops, not 0.2. 2 millimeters wider. Great. Okay. And then we'll just pick a spot somewhere on here. So unhide the body, see where I was working. All right. The curve starts about there. So let's make the handle stop somewhere around there. Kind of sort of pick a spot, draw it out, make sure it's 90 degrees. Great. Just hiding that again. So again, just so I can see what I'm doing. That's all. Trim off these extra bits. That's fine. Don't need that. Because all I'm doing is I was just going to round this out a little bit with the quick fillet. Fillet cannot be created. Why? Part of it's a projection? What is your problem? All right, fine. For some reason, it's not letting me create the fillet. Okay. We'll just extrude that and then, excuse me. We'll just extrude that and then round it out afterwards. Okay, so we have our sketch all finished. Hit extrude. Oh, that's odd. There we go. And just make sure that you're still extruding along that line. Let's go symmetric. I don't know. 10 millimeters seems like a reasonable size for a handle. Probably a little excessive, but whatever. Oh, whole length, 10 millimeters. There we are. All right. And we'll just fillet those edges, or actually, let's do the corners. Just selecting all around, and I don't know, 2. And let's make it a little bit more. 5. There we go. Sort of kind of rounded. There we are. Unhide the spatula body. There you go. Now, granted, that's not ideal. There's a kind of ran into a couple little hitches, but that's all right. Last thing I could do is, again, just make a couple of shapes on there. So, like, create sketch on that face. Now that I have an actual flat face to work from, it's going to orbit around. That's okay. I'll do the same thing that I did before. Let's make a couple of pins on that line. 10 millimeters. Great. Make a copy and paste. Drag that down somewhere. Just because I feel like making it even. There we are. Okay. Finish sketch. And now we extrude those 2. Now this time, to make it easier on myself, I'm still going to go to Object, select underneath. There we go. Only instead of cut, first I'm going to create a new body. Hit OK. Now I'm going to repeat that exact same thing, or not extrude, sorry. Use the, what's going on here? There we go. Combine tool. Target body is right there. And tool bodies are those pin shapes. And I'm going to cut, but I want to make sure to keep my tools. There we go. So now I have spatula, handle, and pin 1, and pin 2. There we go. So look, got a little bit awkward right there. That's not quite what I was hoping for, but we managed to make it work. Excuse me. And shift back to color mode. Ooh, golden spatula. And we'll make a nice, what's going on? Why is it? Something's going on and it's automatically coloring everything. So let's make sure to save. So if you run into something like this, if it's, I'm trying to apply an appearance and it's not cooperating, often enough, might just be because need to save and exit. Sometimes that happens. Not sure what's going on with it. But there we are. So yeah. Oh, okay. There. That time it worked. Strange. Really weird that it's not letting me apply that. Oh, okay. That time it did. Okay, I got nothing. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, and I'll just move that out of the way. I'm just dragging that out of the way so it's over somewhere. Fine. All right, so a couple of complex issues I didn't really want to have to, I was hoping not to have to deal with, but because I had this curve instead of it flat, it just caused a slightly complex shape. That's all. Capture the new position, but there we go. So again, simple tools. I'm not looking for anything overly complex. I ran into an issue, had to work around it. That's okay. Just some more variety of options you could play with. Ultimately, we are looking for a complete shape, meaning like, all right, the spoon or that kind of utensil, fork, butter knife, that sort, it's all kind of one and the same. Or you can combine and add features and other components that, or sorry, not other components, other bodies to create like a handle, that sort. But this is pretty basic stuff. I'm not looking for anything complex. But there we go. I just wanted to show you a little bit more, something else you can play with if you want to. Totally up to you. So ultimately with this stuff, play around. You're going to run into some issues, and hopefully you're able to find a way out, or try something else. All right. Good luck with it.